pull decase here. I'm thinking about going live. Oh, I'm just I'm doing this weird little thing where I'm taping the phone to the steering wheel so it doesn't fall. I think it'll hold. So I'm going to read some of Tobacco Road because it's been a little while. And I totally forgot. I didn't forget, but the library that I've been going to, I'm kind of sideways. That's all right. Crooked. What if I turn the wheel a little bit? Woo. Doesn't really matter. The library I've been borrowing their room. You're only allowed it twice a week. So I didn't even utilize that at all this week. And it's what, Saturday? So I've been slacking, but I've had a very busy sort of week. Excuse me. And I'm gonna title all this stuff after because I have such a Aunt Nellie, Mo. I'm gonna read, but I'm also gonna talk to people in the chat. I'm reading Tobacco Road still. Let's see what chapter. I think I'm on chapter 9. Chapter 9, yes. How's it going? You can't see it in the back. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it. You see that brown blob right there? I got 2 shelves on the side of the road for free. I'm so excited. And I've been looking for one for months. But the funny thing is I just bought one. I just bought one from Marketplace on Facebook, and it's nice though. I only paid $10 for it, and it's exactly what I wanted. The right dimensions, the right height, not too deep. I got a tiny room, so it's perfect. These ones I'll probably sell on Marketplace. I don't have much luck on there though, but I only have a few unwanted items. But is that really you, Mo? I think it is, right? I don't remember your name though being just Nelly. That just could be my memory. How do I type? Is there a way for me to type? Do you know how to do that? Oh, good. Hi, Mo. Let's see if I can figure out how to type too. No, I don't know how to type. Motown, right? Let's see. Stickers, effects picker, mute, flip, retouch. Here, let's flip for a second. That's the view. That's my view. You know what that says? Curbside pickup. So you see that building over there with the cars? That's a church. And last time I did this, I think it was last weekend, maybe the week prior, but I super glued a bunch of coins around the parking lot leading up to the front door of that church. So fun. It's my favorite thing at the moment. Mo, look what I did to my hat. What do you think? My brother had a party today, so I thought I'd show up. I thought I'd show up with my hat. I think Alex would like it. I'm not gonna wear it though. Oh, and Mo, you'll like my shirt too. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, am I? I was afraid of being pixelated. How's my voice? Because that's really all that matters. This happened the last time, and I kind of wish I didn't do it. But holy crap, what's happening? Yes, it is. It's not tin foil. It's aluminum foil. That's a common misconception. Can you even get tin foil? The shirt says, I identify as vaccinated. And then it says, by none your business. And here's my new little notebook that I got for my ideas that I get sometimes. Oh, you can't see it if it's pixelated. It says, notes from my mushroom trip. Who put all these trees in the woods? I haven't had mushrooms since probably 2022 anyway. Sorry about the pixels. I can't get any closer to the library. It said that my connection was strong. But as long as my voice is strong, I guess that's all that matters. You don't really want to see my voice anyway. I'll try and participate in the chat as well. But, all right. Chapter 9, Tobacco Road by Erskine Caldwell. Get my readers. 1937. The sun had been up only half an hour when Bessie reached the Lester house on the morning after her sudden departure. She had said then that she was going home to ask God to let her marry Dude. Jeter had not expected her to come back for several days. No one was in sight as she crossed the yard and ran through the front door calling Dude. Dude! You Dude! Where is you, Dude? She called. Jeter was just getting out of bed when he first heard her. She ran into the bedroom while he sat on a chair pulling on his shoes. What do you want with Dude, Bessie? He asked sleepily. What do you want Dude for? Bessie ran around the room looking into the beds. There were 3 beds in which all the Lesters slept. Ada and Jeter used one of them. Ellie Mae and her grandmother another, and Dude slept alone. Ellie Mae sat up in bed, awakened by the disturbance, and rubbed her eyes. Bessie jerked back the quilts on Dude's bed and ran into the next room where the roof had fallen in. It was the other bedroom, the room where most of the children had formerly slept, and it had been deserted because one section of the roof had rotted away. It was filled with plunder. Bessie came back and looked under Ada's bed. What do you want with Dude this time of day, Bessie? Jeter asked. She still did not answer Jeter's questions. She ran through the kitchen calling Dude at the top of her voice. As soon as he could lace his shoes and put on his jumper, Jeter followed her out into the backyard. His drooping black felt hat was on his head, because his hat was the first thing he put on in the morning and the last he took off at night. Dude was drawing a bucket of water at the well, and Bessie reached him before he could tip the bucket and get a drink. She threw her arms around his neck and kissed his face excitedly. Dude fought back at first, but as soon as he saw it was Bessie, he smiled at her and put his arms around her waist. Jeter went closer and watched them. Presently, Bessie took a side comb from her head and began combing Dude's stiff black hair and smoothing it down with the palms of her hands. Dude's hair was coarse and bristly, and it stood straight on its ends no matter how much it was combed and brushed. Sometimes he could manage to make it lie down for a few minutes by sousing his head in a pan of water and then combing it hurriedly. But as soon as the water began to dry, the hair would stand straight up again as if it were attached to springs. Dude's hair was as wiry as hog bristles. "I never seen a woman preacher carry on over a young sapling like that before," Jeter said. "What you want to do that to Dude for, Bessie? You and him is hugging and rubbing of the other just like you was yesterday on the front porch." Bessie smiled at Dude and Jeter. She leaned against the well stand and tucked up her hair. She had not waited that morning to pin it up. "Me and Dude is going to get married," she said. "The Lord told me to do it. I asked him about it, and he said, 'Sister Bessie, Dude Lester is the man I want you to mate. Get up early in the morning and go up to the Lester place and marry Dude the first thing.' That's what he said to me last night, the very words I heard with my own ears while I was praying about it in bed. So when the sun came up, I got out of bed and ran up here as fast as I could, because the Lord don't like to be kept waiting for his plans to be carried out. He wants me to marry Dude right now." Dude looked around nervously, as if he was thinking of trying to run off to the woods and hide. He had forgotten how anxious he had been to go home with Bessie the evening before when she first mentioned marriage. You hear that, dude? Jeter said. What you think about doing it with Sister Bessie? Shucks, he said. I couldn't do that. Why can't you do that? Jeter demanded. What's ailing you? Ain't you man enough yet? Maybe I is and maybe I ain't. I'd be scared to do that with her. Why, dude, his father said. That ain't nothing to be afraid about. Bessie ain't going to hurt you. She knows how to treat you. Sister Bessie there has been married before. She's a widow woman now. She knows all about how to treat men. I wouldn't hurt you none, dude, she said, putting her arm around his neck and drawing his arms tighter around her waist. There ain't nothing to be scared of. I'm just like your sister, Ellie Mae, and your ma. Women don't scare their men folks none. You'll like being married to me, because I know how to treat men fine. Ada elbowed her way past Jeter and Dude. She had not waited to plait her hair when she heard what Bessie wanted. She stood beside Dude and Bessie, with her hair divided over the front of her shoulders, plaiting one side and tying a string around the end, and then beginning on the other braid. She was as excited as Bessie was. Bessie, she said, you'll have to make Dude wash his feet every once in a while, because if you don't, he'll dirty up your quilts. Sometimes he don't wash himself all winter long, and the quilts get that dirty you don't know how to go about cleaning of them. Dude is just careless like his pa. I had the hardest time learning him to wear his socks in the bed, because it was the only way I could keep them quilts clean. He would never wash himself. I reckon Dude is just going on the same way as Pa done, so maybe you had better make Dude wear his socks too. Ellie Mae had come out of the house and was standing behind a chinaberry tree in order to hear and see what was taking place beside the well stand. The grandmother was in the yard too. She was peering from behind the corner of the house, lest anyone should see her and make her go away. Maybe you and Dude will help me get a stylish dress, Ada suggested shyly. You and him know how bad I want a dress of the right length to die in. I've long ago give up waiting for Jeter to get me one. He ain't going to do it in my time. All of them stood by the well looking at each other. When Jeter caught Dude's eye, Dude hung his head and looked at the ground. He did not know what to think about it. He wanted to get married, but he was afraid of Bessie. She was nearly 25 years older than he was. Do you know what I'm going to do, Jeter? Bessie asked. What? Jeter said. I'm going to buy me a new automobile. A new automobile? A brand new one. I'm going to Fuller right now and get it. A brand new one? Jeter said unbelievingly. A sure enough brand new automobile? Dude's mouth dropped open and his eyes glistened. What you going to buy it with, Bessie? Jeter asked. Is you got money? I've got $800 to pay for it with. My former husband left me that money when he died. He had it in insurance. And when he died, I got it and put it in the Bank of Augusta. I aim to use it in carrying on the prayer and preaching my former husband used to like so much. I always did want a brand new automobile. All right, Mo. Thanks for coming in here and saying hello. Oh, that's awesome. Tell your daughter I said hello. I got friends in Florida and family too. But don't forget to email me too. And I'll give you my phone number and maybe we can talk sometime. There's lots to say. Have a good night. When you going to buy a new automobile? Jeter asked. Right now, today. I'm going over to Fuller and get it right now. Me and Dude's going to use it to travel all over the country preaching and praying. Can I drive it? Dude asked. That's what I'm buying it for, Dude. I'm getting it for you to drive us around when we take a notion to go somewheres. When is you and Dude going to do all this riding around and praying and preaching? Jeter said. Is you going to get married before or after? Bye, Mo. Right away, she said. We'll walk over to Fuller right now and buy the automobile, and then ride up to the courthouse and get married. Is you going to get leave of the country to get married? He asked doubtfully. Or is you just going to live along without it? I'm going to get the license for marrying, she said. That costs about $2, Jeter reminded. If you got $2? Is you got $2? Dude ain't. Dude, he ain't got nothing. I ain't asking dude for 1 penny of money. I'll attend to that part by myself. I've got $800 in the bank and some more besides. I saved my money for something just like this to happen. I've been looking for it to happen all along. Dude had been dropping pebbles into the well for the past few minutes. Suddenly he stopped and looked at Bessie. He looked straight into her face, and the sight of the 2 cavernous round nostrils brought a smile to his lips. He had looked at her nose before, but this time the holes seemed to be larger and rounder than ever. It was more like looking down into the double-barrel shotgun than ever before. He could not keep from laughing. What you laughing at, dude? She asked, frowning. At them 2 holes in your nose, he said. I ain't never seen nobody with all the top of her nose gone away like that before. Bessie's face turned white. She hung her head in an effort to hide her exposed nostrils as much as possible. She was sensitive about her appearance, but she knew of no way to remedy her nose. She had been born without a bone in it, and after nearly 40 years it had still not developed. She put her hand over her face. I'm ashamed of you, dude, she said, wiping the tears from the corners of her eyes. You know I can't help the way I look. I've been like that ever since I can remember. Won't no nose grow on me, I reckon. Dude dug the toes of his shoes in the sand and tried to laugh. But almost as suddenly as he had first looked at Bessie's face and broken into a smile, he stopped and scowled meanly at himself. It was the remembrance of the new automobile that made him stop laughing at Bessie. If she was going to buy a brand new car, he did not care how she looked. It would have been all right with him if she had a hair lip like Ellie Mae's. Now that he could ride all he wanted to, he had never driven a new motor car, and that was something he wanted to do more than anything else he could think of. I didn't mean no harm, he said uneasily. Honest to God, I didn't. I don't give a damn how your nose looks. Bessie smiled again and put her arms around his waist. She looked up at him again, her face so close to his that he could feel her breath. He had to stop trying to see down into her nose because it hurt his eyes and made them ache to focus them on an object only a few inches away. Her nostrils were only a dark blur on his face when they were standing so close together. Can I drive the new automobile? Sure enough, he asked again, hoping he had not made her change her mind. Is you going to let me drive it? Ding, I just got a notification. No biggie. Excuse me. That's why I'm getting it, dude. I'm getting it for you to drive all over the country in. Me and you is going to get married, and we can ride all the time if we want to. I won't stop you from going somewhere when you want to go. You can ride all the time. Will it have a horn on it? I reckon it will. Don't all new automobiles come with horns already on them? Maybe so, he said. You be sure and find out if it's got one when you buy it anyway. It won't be no good at all unless it's got a horn. Dude is pretty darn lucky, Jeter said. I didn't get a darn thing. She didn't have nothing but some old dresses of her own. And her people was that darn poor they had to eat meal and fatback just like we do now. I didn't get nothing when I married her except a mess of trouble. Ada walked over to Bessie and laid her hand on Bessie's arm. Maybe if you got all that money, Bessie, you and Dude could buy me a jar of snuff in Fuller. Reckon you could do that for Dude's old ma? Being that Dude is my boy, you ought to get me just a little jar of snuff anyway. I'd sure be powerful pleased if you was to get 3 or 4 jars while you was about it, though. Snuff drives away the pains in my poor stomach when I can't get nothing to eat. I've been needing a new pair of overalls for the longest time, Bessie, Jeter said. I declare, I'm almost scared to go a far piece from the house anymore because I don't know but what my clothes will drop right off of me sometimes when I ain't noticing. If you could get me a new pair in Fuller, I'd be powerful pleased. Bessie led Dude away from the well. They walked around the house, and when nobody was looking, she stood behind him and hugged him so hard he could not breathe until she released him. "What you doing that to me for?" he said. "I ain't never had that done to me before. Me and you is going to get married, dude. Don't you know that?" He walked around behind her, looked at the back of her head, and came back in the front again. "When is you going to get a new automobile?" he asked. "Right away, dude. We're going to Fuller right now and get it." Dude was more excited over the prospect of driving a new automobile than he had ever been about anything in his whole life. The automobiles he had seen had all been old ones just like Jeter's, except the ones the rich people in Augusta drove. He could not make himself believe that he was actually going to drive one like those he had seen in the city. He wanted to start for Fuller without another minute's delay. "Come on," he said. "We ain't got no time to lose." "Ain't you glad we is going to get married, though?" she said. "It's going to be real nice, ain't it, dude?" The rest of the Lesters had followed them to the front yard, and they stood by the corner of the house waiting to see Dude and Bessie leave for Fuller. Ellie Mae followed them down the road for about a half a mile before she turned around and came back to the house. Dude walked in front, and Bessie followed him several yards behind. When they reached the top of the first sand hill, they stopped and looked back at the Lester house to see if Ada and Jeter were watching them. Bessie waved her hand until Dude told her to hurry up so they could get to Fuller. The long walk to Fuller took them nearly 2 hours because Bessie had to stop several times and rest beside the road. The sun was hot by that time, and it was nearly 10 o'clock when they left the Lester place. And it was difficult walking through the deep sand, especially for Bessie. In some places, the sand was a foot deep, and her feet sank down so far that the sand ran down her shoe tops. Dude would never sit down and wait for Bessie to get ready to start walking again. He waited several hundred feet away, urging her to hurry. Dude had started out walking slowly enough for Bessie to keep up with him, but as they got close to Fuller, Dude could not hold himself back. He ran ahead several hundred yards and then had to walk back to meet Bessie. He would have gone on to towns without her, but he did not know what to do when she got there. He was afraid, too, that if he got out of Bessie's sight, she might turn around and go back without buying the new automobile. Neither of them talked the whole time. Bessie hummed a hymn to herself, occasionally raising a note to the shrill pitch she liked so much, but she did not try to talk to Dude. They were too engrossed in their own thoughts to talk. And that would be the end of Chapter 9 of Tobacco Road by Erskine Caldwell, written in 1937. It's probably still all pixely, but here's the book. I gotta always remember that I got this from the library. But we're good halfway through it, a little more. But now I'm going to go try the other library because they might have better Wi-Fi. So thanks for being here, whoever you are. And thanks, Mo, for being here. Talk soon.